I'm Debbie. I'm an online personal trainer, and I spend my time helping real folks get strong for real life. Welcome back to the podcast. I know it's been a minute. Here's a did you know for you. A box that says protein right on the front can sit on the same shelf as the regular version of that exact cereal and still leave you nowhere close to where you need to be in terms of hitting your protein targets. I found this out standing in the cereal aisle a couple of weeks ago doing our normal weekly grocery run, and it turned into a math problem I did not expect to be solving between the bread and the coffee. I'll give you the full story in a few minutes because it's a perfect example of something I want to teach you today. But first, let me catch you up on what's actually been going on around here. Number one, you might notice we're not filming in the garage, and you're about to find out why. If you've been listening for a while, you know that I set that 3-year goal to run a half marathon under 3 hours. I want to be honest with you. I am not actively training for that right now. What I've been doing the last few weeks is just working on getting back into a real rhythm, which honestly needed to happen before any actual training could start. Part of the challenge has been the heat. My garage gym at the old house had air conditioning. This garage does not. And it has been brutal. So Stephanie and I made a call. We moved a set of the dumbbells and our adjustable bench into the front room, and we've just been working out inside. Here's the part I'm actually really happy about. We're doing it together. I wrote us a circuit style workout, 5 exercises, one for each of the major movement patterns. So squat, hinge, push, pull, and core. The first week, we only did 2 rounds through the circuit. The whole thing took less than 15 minutes. And honestly, that was the goal. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just wanted momentum. 2 rounds felt doable, so 2 rounds is what we did. Second week, we bumped it up to 3 rounds. This week, we're at 4, and honestly, 4 is probably where we're going to sit for a while. I want to point something out. We didn't start with the workout we wanted. We started with the workout that was doable and let it grow from there. That's the whole game. You're not looking for the perfect plan on day 1. You're looking for the plan you will actually repeat. We've also been talking a lot about what our routine is going to look like once we're both back to work. Neither of us really found a good rhythm last year. The longer commute since we moved means we have to be a lot more intentional about when workouts happen. Also, because it's going to be hot when we get home. Because the schedule is not going to hand us free time the way it might have before. So the whole point of starting now, even while it's hot, in the front room instead of the proper garage gym, it's to build momentum so that we can carry it into the season once school starts, when we have a lot less control over our day. We're also doing 1 to 2 cardio sessions a week. And I will say hanging out in the pool at Stephanie's parents' house doesn't really count as cardio. Not the way we've been doing it anyway, but it has been nice to be close enough to take advantage of that pool time, even if it means our commute to school is a lot longer. One more small update, and I'll keep this brief because it's not really what today's episode is about. I recently increased my Zepbound dose, and I'm finding a lot of success with it. The food noise I've talked about before is almost non-existent right now, it's been huge. What I've also noticed is that this dose gets me full faster, and I'm eating noticeably less overall. That actually ties directly into today's topic because when the amount of food you can comfortably eat shrinks, you have to be a lot more intentional about what's actually in it. There's a lot less room for foods that are not pulling their weight, which brings me back to that cereal aisle. So there we were doing our normal weekly grocery shopping, and I'm standing in front of the cereal on a totally unrelated errand. I don't even remember what exactly I was looking for. I certainly wasn't hunting for a protein win in the cereal aisle. I was just trying to check the things off the list. I saw a box of Raisin Bran labeled protein sitting right next to the regular Raisin Bran. The protein version says 9 grams of protein for 210 calories. I looked at the regular box out of curiosity. 5 grams of protein for 190 calories. At first glance, that looks like a clear win for the protein version. More protein and only 20 more calories. Your instinct might tell you to just trust the words in giant letters and toss it in the cart. But then I noticed the serving sizes were different. The regular Raisin Bran serving size is 1 cup. The protein version serving size is 1.25 cups. So they're not even measuring the same amount of cereal. I did the math right there in the aisle. If you just scale the regular Raisin Bran up to that same 1.25 cup serving, you land around 6.25 grams of protein for about 237 calories. Compared to the protein version's 9 gram for 210 calories, the protein version is genuinely a little better. A bit more protein, a bit fewer calories, and an equal serving size. That part is real. But here's the part that matters more. Even the upgraded version does not come close to passing the test I actually use to judge whether something deserves to be called a protein food. I want to teach you the exact test I ran in my head standing in that aisle. I didn't come up with this one myself. I want to be clear. I picked it up from someone on Instagram, and frankly, I don't even remember who it was, but it's a pretty common, widely used method, but I didn't invent it, and I don't want to take credit for it. It's called the 10-100 rule. For every 100 calories in a food, you want to see at least 10 grams of protein. That's the whole test. Here's how you run it fast. Standing in an aisle or looking at a menu. Look at the grams of protein per serving. Add a 0 to the end of that number. Then look at the calories per serving and ask yourself, is the calorie number higher than the protein number with a 0 added? If the calorie number is still higher than that protein number with a 0, it's not really a high protein food. So 200 calories needs 20 grams of protein or more to pass. 150 calories would need 15 grams. 250 calories needs 25 grams. I think you can see how this works. Back to that Raisin Bran protein, 210 calories. To pass the 10-100 test, it would need 21 grams of protein. It has 9. That's not a close call. It fails, and it fails by a lot, even though it is legitimately the better of the 2 boxes on that shelf. That's the trap I want you to see clearly. Something can be a better option in comparison and still not be a real protein source. Better than a bad choice is not the same thing as good. If your only measuring stick is which box has more protein written on it, you can walk away feeling proud of a decision that might still leave you way short of what your body actually needs. I want to be fair to the cereal here too. I'm not saying Raisin Bran protein is a bad food or that you can never eat it. I'm saying if your goal is protecting muscle, you cannot let a cereal be your protein plan for that meal. It needs a backup. A splash of high protein milk, some Greek yogurt on the side, maybe a scoop of cottage cheese, not eaten together. That sounds weird. Something that actually carries the load that the cereal is only pretending to carry. This exact scenario, standing in an aisle, trying to do quick math on 2 boxes, is why I finally sat down and put together a resource called the Over 40 Protein Playbook. It walks through the 10-100 rule in a lot more depth with real food examples, so you start recognizing imposters on site instead of doing math every single time. It also covers a simple no tracking way to estimate your protein using something you already have with you everywhere, which I'll get into in a minute. And it has a full system for staying consistent even when your schedule is the one working against you, not your appetite. If you want to stop second-guessing labels in the aisle, the Over 40 Protein Playbook is linked in the show notes. I'll come back to it again at the end. Let's talk about the tool I actually use most, because the 10-100 rule is great for reading labels, but hopefully most of your meals do not come with a nutrition label. Your chicken thigh shouldn't have a sticker on it. This is called the PALM method, and I want to give credit where it's due. I learned this through Precision Nutrition, which is where I got my own nutrition coaching certification. It's not something I invented either. It's just one of the most practical tools I picked up in my training, and I use it constantly with clients because it removes the need for a food scale almost entirely. Here's the target. At most meals, aim for 1 to 2 palms of protein. A palm means the size and thickness of your actual palm measured from the base of your hand to the top, not your fingers, just the palm. The reason this works so well is that it's built in. You always have it with you. It's automatically personalized because generally larger bodies have larger hands. So the estimate scales with you naturally. And it works the same whether you're at home, at a restaurant, or standing at the taco truck trying to figure out if you ordered enough meat in your tacos. If you're newer to eating more protein or your appetite runs lower some days, start with just 1 palm and add half a palm of bonus protein if you can. Something small like a few ounces of deli turkey or a quick yogurt. If you're more active or working hard to hold on to muscle in a deficit, aim closer to 2 palms at your main meals. The real shift I want you to make this week is simple. Choose your protein first before anything else goes on the plate. Then build the rest of the meal around it. That one sequencing change solves more protein problems than almost anything else I teach. I want to take a minute to tell you about a client of mine that actually connects really well to everything I've talked about today, both the protein side and the whole adjust the setup, keep the habit theme from my own training update. She had a vacation coming up where she knew she was not going to have access to any sort of gym equipment. In the past, that kind of trip used to mean that the workouts just stopped entirely until she got home. This time, we sat down before she left and I wrote her a body weight only circuit that she could do anywhere, hotel room, backyard, it didn't matter. What we talked about was not really about the workout itself. It was about protecting the habit, even when the effort could not look the same as it does at home. She was not going to be lifting heavy or hitting the same numbers. That was never the point. The point was that showing up in some form kept the thread going, so coming home did not feel like starting over. That is honestly the exact same lesson Stephanie and I have been living out with our own workouts lately. Our garage got too hot, so we moved inside. We did not have air conditioning, so we adjusted the plan instead of just quitting on it. The setup changed. The commitment did not. Your environment is going to change on you. The gym gets hot, the trip has no equipment, the schedule gets busier when you go back to work. None of that should be a reason to stop. It's just information that tells you what to adjust. The goal is never a perfect setup. The goal is a habit that survives an imperfect one. So here's what I want you to actually do with this. Next time you're comparing 2 versions of the same food, the regular one and the one bragging about protein, run the math before you trust the label. Add a 0 to the grams of protein and compare it to the calories. If it doesn't clear that bar, it's not a bad food. It's just not your protein plan for that meal. Pair it with something that is. And when you're eating something that doesn't come with a label at all, use your hand. 1 to 2 palms at a meal, protein first, everything else built around it. You don't need to be perfect at either of these. You need to be consistent enough that they become automatic. The same way 4 rounds of a circuit is becoming automatic once 2 rounds got the momentum going. If today's episode gave you a light bulb moment, the Over 40 Protein Playbook goes a lot deeper into everything I touched on. The 10-100 rule with more real food comparisons, the full palm method breakdown, a complete system for building protein anchors and backups so it stops depending on willpower, and a plan for the days that your schedule completely falls apart. You can find it linked in the show notes or head to journeytofitwithdebbie.com to grab it. And if you want more personalized support building a version of this that fits your specific life, your schedule, your training, your goals, that's exactly what one-on-one coaching is for. You can apply at the link in the show notes as well. Thanks for letting me be a part of your journey today. Keep showing up and building your strength for the journey.